Hello guys, in today's video I visited Hungary's most insane car tuning show in Budapest, where we can find tuned cars, old-timers and even supercars from all over the world, and I will talk a bit about this show and about what cars can be found here. So let's go. First, as I said, this show took place in Budapest at the Hung Expo in almost 7 pavilions, and in every pavilion there were car stands for different cars and themes, like the stand of Unix or AMTS, which is a well-known Japan oil importer, and also stands of famous Hungarian YouTubers. In the first A pavilion, we could find lots of brand stands, like the mentioned Unix or AMTS, and many more, and there were also lots of toys and other stuffs that you could try or buy, like Hot Wheels, Matchboxes, or driving cars in VR, but there were also lots of really interesting cars, starting with the C8 Corvette and a car wrapping brand stand. This car has got a 6.2 liter naturally aspirated V8 engine. Unlike its predecessors, this is now a middle engine car which competes with Italian supercars and has a lovely sound. Next is an Alfa Romeo F1 car, which could be found at the Unix stands, and also there was a competition between visitors that who can change his tire faster, and an MK7 GTI completely taken apart, and due to this you could take a look at every single detail of the car, from its engine to its suspension. The following places were a bit boring. There was a Pontiac Firebird, Volkswagen Golf MK3 VR6 and an Audi SQ5. In my opinion, the next place was by far the best, the famous exhaust brand's Akrapovic stand, where we could find 3 BMWs, an M2, an M4 and an M3 CS. Also, here we could find an Audi R8 GT, which is basically a Le Mans race car for the road, with a 5.2 liter naturally aspirated V10 engine that produces more than 600 horsepower and sends its power to the rear wheels, and there were only 333 units ever produced. Also, here we could find the Porsche GT4, Mercedes CLA 45 AMG and the Porsche Cayenne Turbo 2, all with Akrapovic exhaust systems. The next was also a car wrapping company stand, where we could find a Ferrari 488 GTB with a twin turbocharged V8, a BMW M2 competition and a Ferrari 356 Modena. Then, followed by a tuning stand, where was a BMW N6, a lowrider stand with lowrider bikes, then a nose with a tuned Audi A6 sedan and the GR Corolla, and both of these cars are owned by a famous Hungarian YouTuber. Then, there was a section for American muscle, where we could find a C3 Corvette, a Camaro SS, a Pontiac Firebird, and the 4th gen Dodge Viper, which is the only car that has got indicator fluid because it has got a BMW lamp version, which was left to the Chrysler group because the German brand would use it for the Z1 Roadster, but the car received a fully changed design, so it was basically free and Chrysler took it and put it into the Viper. There were also several cars from the 60s and an original Ford Mach 1 Mustang and an old 68 Mustang Bullitt and the Shelby GT500, but at a different stand which says ceramic coating. Continuing the lineup with this BMW M4 competition in a rare Cabrio version, then a 2024 BMW M5, then an Alfa Romeo Giulia, and this beautiful Porsche 911 Turbo S Cabriolet called the Brabus 900 Rocket R, tuned by the famous Brabus tuning company, so this car has 820 horsepower. There was also a new Aston Martin Vantage with only 1000 units produced. Then other tuning Volkswagens and race cars, 2 Audi RS3 8Ys from 2024, a Lamborghini Huracan with the same engine as the R8 GT, and the BMW M3 E46 in golden paint. Then, moving to the B pavilion, which was mainly focused on tuning cars, like this Volkswagen Golf 1 GTI, then a Volkswagen Scirocco, Golf 8 GTI, an MK2 GTI, and MK2 Cabriolet. Then a Fiat 500 Abarth, Golf MK7 GTI, an E55 AMG Mercedes with a 5.4-liter V8, then a BMW E36 with an Xbox console in its trunk. Then an Audi A4 followed by a Skoda Octavia VRS and the Volkswagen Neos. Then the Japanese stand, where was a Subaru Impreza VRX STI from 2005, an R33 Skyline GTR, a Toyota GT86 and another R33 in red. Then a Golf GTI, two Audi S4s with really cool rotiform wheels, a Ford Mustang with a body kit, CL63 AMG and this Mark II Golf G60 convertible in really good condition. There were several other tuning cars, but I don't want to bore you, so I just show my favorite ones, like this Audi S1 Quattro, which is one of the deadliest rally cars ever made, and due to cars like this, Group B Rally was banned forever. Also, this car has an original paint and body. Then, this Toyota GT86 Duo, an Alpina BMW M3 E36, which has 333 horsepower, and a 0 to 100 km/h in 5.6 seconds, and in the early concept, Alpina wanted to put a naturally aspirated 4-liter V8, but they didn't succeed. Then an Imola Yellow RS4 Audi, this MK4 Supra Duo, and this Audi S5. In the G pavilion, we could find mainly YouTuber stands and the prize car, which was a tuned Ford Mustang GT, which has got 450 horsepower and a fully customized body with a pretty good interior, and this car could be won by any visitor who uploaded his or her ticket online. Also, here we could find two Mercedes G-Wagons, a base model with a 4-liter V8 that produces 416 horsepower, and an AMG version with the same engine but with 100 HP more. Also, two Continental GTs, one from 2020 and the other from 2025, and the big difference can be found in their front headlights. Then there was a Fast and Furious stand where we could find a replica of Brian's Eclipse from the Fast and Furious 1 movie, and Dom's Charger, which is an original one from the Fast X 10 series, and the famous actor from the 5th and the mentioned series visited the car show. Followed by a tuned BMW M3 built for drifting, and the famous Hungarian YouTuber stand with an R35 GTR that producing 900 horsepower and two Honda Civics. Of course, both of these cars are tuned and one has Lambo doors. We came to my favorite stand, full of supercars and even two F1 cars, a Ferrari which has got a car driving simulator built in it, and the Mercedes Dallara F320, and you can see its statics on the screen. But let's start with my favorite, with this Lamborghini Aventador LP700-4, and the 700 stands for its horsepower that the naturally aspirated 6.5-liter V12 produces, and the 4 stands for its 4-wheel drive system. Then a McLaren 650S Spider that does 0 to 60 miles per hour in 3 seconds. Then a Lotus Emira, Mercedes AMG GTS, a Ferrari California, and a 488 GTD, a Porsche 911 GTS, with an M4 competition. Then there were JDM cars too, an R34 GTR and a Honda NSX, which is basically Japan's Ferrari, then an Audi R8 Spider and two Mercedes, a G63 and an SL63 AMG, and both of these cars have got the same bi-turbo V8 engine. At the D pavilion, we could find any oldtimer car that you can imagine, starting with this very rare Opel Manta with just 245 units ever produced, and only 25 of these were rally variants. Followed by a Renault 5 Turbo GT, which is a front engine and front wheel drive car designed by Alpine, which is the rally or race section of Renault, like AMG for Mercedes, and then a Lada 1300 and a complete stand of launches from every decade. Then German cars from the 80s, Mercs, Audis, BMWs, like this W111 and the Z1 Roadster with its iconic doors that go into its body, 3 Mercedes SL500, 2 in beige and 1 in dark blue color, and the BMW E30 and other SL Mercedes, and then old English roadsters. And one of my favorite car was this Mercedes-Benz Nürburgring 460 from 1929 with a top speed of 100 km an hour and a 4-speed manual gearbox with a built-in 5th gear in the Cardinal shift, which was built by Maybach. And this car has got a pretty interesting history because it was first introduced at the Paris Motor Show in 1928 October, and this was Daimler's first car that made 20,000 kilometers on the Nürburgring in 13 days and also first 8-cylinder Model 2. Then there was an Alfa Romeo Spider Series 3 and the Porsche 550 Spider Replica 2, which is a well-known car because an original one was owned by a famous movie star of the 50s, James Dean, who passed away when he crashed into a Ford Tudor. After the crash, something strange started to happen with the car. When they were transporting it, the transporter somehow crashed into a tree, and it wouldn't be a problem, but the car fell down off the back of the truck and killed the driver. Then they arrived at the destination, and when the mechanics were pulling it down, the car fell on one of the repairers and broke his leg. Then the car was stored in a barn when it suddenly just caught on fire at night. So they decided to dissolve it, and when they arrived at the junkyard, the car somehow disappeared from the back of the truck, but it didn't stop on its journey. After the Porsche, there was an old Mercedes from the 1930s, then cars from the 50s and 60s, a Mercedes 280 SE, a Pontiac and a Ford, then a Ford Mustang GT at an American stand where we could find other cars from the 60s, and there was a stand for old Opels, which is called Vauxhall in the UK. Then finally we came to the E-Pavilion where we could find everything from oldtimers through supercars. The first car was this Audi TTS from around 2013. Then there were two Porsche 991 GT3 RSs, one is a 991.1 and the other is a 991.2. In my opinion, this generation is a little bit better than the newest 992 because this gen just have got more carbon elements instead of plastic that the 992 has, and also the price of the 992 is just unrealistic for me, but it's just my opinion. Then there was another Porsche, a 993 Carrera RS with Recaro racing seats, followed by a tuned Audi A6 and A8, then an Audi S7, an S55 AMG, then three Nissans, a Silvia, and an R34 and an R33 GTRs. Next, an Alfa Romeo Giulia Quadrifoglio with Akrapovic exhaust and Ferrari wheels, a stunning Audi RS3 Coupe in Nardo grey color, which is a really iconic and also a good color for Audis. After that, there was a tuned Rolls-Royce Silverster, an MK4 Supra, two Hot Rods, Volkswagen Bora and another Audi A6, Volkswagen Golf MK4 and an RVB Porsche 911 RSR from the 70s, then a Porsche GT3 RS Cup car, a Nissan R35 GTR and a car which has got a waterfall in its trunk. After that, there was a Volkswagen Beetle buggy, a tuned Audi R8 and RS3 with a cool number plate, a Skoda Octavia VRS with Lamborghini wheels, a Ferrari Dino GT4, which is the only road legal production Ferrari, which was designed by Bertone and not Pininfarina. Also, this car has got the famous V8 and the 2+2 seat layout. Next is a Mercedes 280D, then a BMW X6M tuned by Larta Design, and the cost of the kit is around 30 to 35 euros based on the type of the kit you want. Then a Lamborghini Huracan Technica, which is a bit more track-focused version of the base model, a McLaren Artura, which is a hybrid McLaren and also the company's first V6 model, a Ferrari Pro Sangue, which has got a 6.5 liter naturally aspirated V12, then another R8 of the previous generation with a 4.2 liter naturally aspirated V8 and carbon elements, and the easiest way to find out if it's a V8 or V10 version is to look at the exhaust pipes. The R8 was followed by an RS7, a Volkswagen Scirocco VR6, a Toyota Celica, an Audi RS3 from 2016, a Volkswagen Polo but with just half wheel, a Porsche 911, an S8 Audi, a C6 Corvette, and a bunch of Ford Mustangs. In this pavilion there was a section for kids where they could find Lego cars and other vehicles. My favorite was this Lamborghini Centenario. Also there were remote control trucks and cars that they could try out and drift with them. And also there were military stuffs and the tank in front of the pavilion, but let's go back to the cars. Continuing the lineup with this Volkswagen Beetle, then an old Fiat 500, a BMW E36, a Nissan 370 and a 350Z, a tuned Honda Civic, and many other tuning cars, but there were so much that this video would have been just too long, so I will show my favorite ones, like this Nissan GTR and Honda Civic Type R Duo, this old Mercedes W110, this Ferrari 812 GTS is a naturally aspirated 6.5 liter V12 that produces 800 horsepower. Then we came to my favorite car in this pavilion, this Porsche 997 with an insane bodywork and beautiful leather and Alcantara interior with carbon bucket seats, new Porsche LED lights and a custom tail light, and 2 mid exhaust pipes just like GT Porsches. For me this car looks a bit like Unterberg Porsches or just has those style. And then I asked the owner to turn on the lights of the car, and I had a quick chat with him, and it turned out he is the CEO of the BTS film company in Italy, and this is his own build. Then there were old Mercs, a wide-body Lamborghini Gallardo, Mercedes 280 SE with a 3.5 liter V8, an extremely high Ram with a giant exhaust, an old Ford Mustang with over 1900 horsepower and a really good bodywork, a BMW M3 which was the last V8 model, and an E30 M3 too, followed by a wide-body Golf MK7R with Recaro seats called the Volkswagen RR 480 Club Sport with starting price from 5,500 euros, then a Porsche 964 ST and a Ferrari 356 Modena. This is the end of the video. I hope you enjoyed it, and I'm really curious about what was your favorite car and what you agree or disagree with me, so you can write it in the comments. And I would also really appreciate if you would give it a like and subscribe. See you guys next time, goodbye.